Kingdom life is life without lack. My beloved, hear these words of life. There exists a realm of endless bounty, where my presence fills every space in need, where abundance flows like rivers unceasing. Come, draw near and listen closely to my heart. I speak not of earthly prosperity alone, but of the fullness that comes from dwelling in the secret place of my sovereign care. Consider how I provided for my son as he walked the dusty paths of earth, never lacking, always abounding, in every circumstance more than sufficient. Did I not demonstrate my Father's heart when I multiplied bread for thousands, when I turned water into finest wine, when I drew provision from a fish's mouth? Yet mark this truth carefully, beloved. His prosperity flowed from perfect trust, from moment-by-moment fellowship with me, from living fully in my kingdom reality. You need not strive or strain to enter in. The door stands open through my Son. But you must seek with your whole heart, for the kingdom's treasures lie hidden from casual eyes. Learn this deeper wisdom. When you give in secret, I reward openly. When you pray in solitude, I answer publicly. When you fast in private, I respond in power. Let your heart be free from anxious thought, for I am Yahweh, the self-sufficient one, who delights to meet your every need according to my riches in glory. Remember, the kingdom is not a distant dream, but a present reality for those who seek it. Surrounds you like air, awaits like water, ready to flow through every opening of trust. Do not build dams to hoard my blessing, nor channels too small for my abundance. Instead, dig wide and deep the canals of faith, that my provision might reach many through you. For this is the great mystery of my kingdom. The more you give, the more you shall receive. The more you trust, the more you shall see. The more you seek, the more you shall find. Come now into this life without lack, where every need bows before my presence, where every situation yields to my power, where my kingdom becomes your dwelling place. Seek first this kingdom and my righteousness, not striving in your own strength, but resting in the finished work of Christ, through whom all abundance flows. For I am your shepherd, and you shall not want. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever in my presence. Let this truth settle deep within. You need not be more than you are, only submit it to who I am, for my kingdom comes through surrender. Watch and see how I will provide, not by your might or power, but by my Spirit working through you, as you learn to live in this realm of plenty. This is your inheritance in me, a life overflowing with my presence, a heart at rest in my provision, a soul satisfied in my abundance. Enter in. Beloved, enter in.
My precious one, hear these words of tender instruction. I would speak to you of labor and of love, of daily bread and divine provision, of earthly toil touched by heaven's grace. Did I not work with my own hands when I formed the mountains and spread out the seas? Was I not laboring when I knit you together, crafting each detail with infinite care? Think not that work is beneath my dignity, for I am the master craftsman, the divine worker who tends his garden and shapes all creation with loving hands. Lo, I invite you into this sacred partnership, not as servant, but as beloved co-creator. For your work is holy when yielded to me, each task a vessel for my presence to fill. In every moment of your laboring, remember, you do not toil alone. As oxen yoked together share the burden, so I bear the weight with you. When you enter your workplace, know that I have gone before you. When you face each task, know that my wisdom awaits your asking. The world speaks of drudgery and toil, of counting hours until rest arrives. But I speak of purpose and partnership, of heaven's joy in earthly labor. Take heart in this deeper truth. Your work is not separate from worship, your labor not divided from prayer, for all is sacred when done with me. See how I bless the work of craftsmen who built my tabernacle with skill, how I guided fishermen's nets to plenty, how I multiplied the widow's small portion. So too will I bless your faithful labor, not always with abundance of gold, but with the greater wealth of my presence, with wisdom, peace, and righteous fruit. Let your excellence speak of my excellence. Let your diligence reflect my character. Let your service show forth my love, for in all these things I am glorified. Take not anxious thought for tomorrow, nor measure your worth by earthly gain instead. Rest in this sacred knowledge, your labor matters in my kingdom. Whether you tend to children or commerce, whether you build with hands or heal with words, whether you serve in quiet or led in strength, your work is holy when done with me. In the mundane, find my mysteries in routine, discover my rhythms in challenges, seek my counsel in all things, know my nearness. For I am not distant from your daily tasks, not removed from your practical needs. I am as close as your next breath, as present as your next decision. Therefore, rise with joy to your calling, enter your workplace as holy ground, for where my children labor in love, there my kingdom comes to earth. Remember, your work is my work, your strength is my strength, your purpose is my purpose, and I am with you always. This is my promise to you. As you surrender each task to me, as you seek my face in every challenge, I will make your labor a living prayer. Go forth now in this confidence, not as one who bears the burden alone, but as one who works in sacred partnership with the Maker of heaven and earth. For in this holy collaboration, in this dance of divine and human, your work becomes worship, and your labor becomes love.
The sacred trust, a divine partnership in stewardship. My child, hear these words of tender instruction. All that you possess flows from my hand, every coin, every resource, every treasure stored. I am the owner of all things, and you, my beloved, are my trusted steward. Come closer and listen to my heart. I see your anxious thoughts about provision, your careful counting of earthly wealth. But I would teach you a deeper truth, that freedom comes in surrender and abundance flows through open hands. Think you that I possess less than all things, that my storehouse could ever be depleted, that my rivers of provision could run dry? Nay, my child, I own the cattle on 1,000 hills, and all the wealth of heaven stands ready to meet your every need. But hear this wisdom carefully. I seek not merely to provide for you, but to partner with you in sacred trust. As you release control to me, you shall discover liberty unknown before, the freedom of a steward's heart. Consider my servants of old, those who gave all yet lacked nothing, who poured out freely yet overflowed with more, who counted all things lost that they might gain the riches of my grace. These knew the secret of divine prosperity. Let your heart be anchored in this truth. I am your source, your supply, your all when earthly resources shift like sand. My provision stands eternal, unchanging. You need never grasp or hoard or fear, for I am your exceeding great reward. Therefore release to me your tight grip on that which was always mine. Your wealth, your plans, your earthly store. Take instead the lighter yoke of stewardship, the blessed role of faithful manager, dispensing my resources for my glory. Be not as one who claims ownership, struggling beneath the weight of possession. Rather, walk in the lightness of spirit that comes from knowing all is mine, and I have chosen you as partner in this grand adventure of stewardship. When trials come, and come they shall, let not your heart be troubled. Remember, the owner still watches over his own, and no circumstance surprises me. I delight to show myself strong on behalf of those who trust in me. What freedom awaits the heart that knows that all belongs to me. What peace attends the soul that rests in my eternal ownership. What joy marks the life that flows in rhythm with my giving heart. So come, my child, step boldly now into this sacred partnership. Surrender all you thought was yours and find instead the greater wealth of walking hand in hand with me, your faithful Lord and loving owner. For in this holy exchange you'll find the truest path to prosperity, not in the gathering of earthly wealth, but in the giving of your all to me, that I might work through yielded hands to bless a world in need. Remember always, I am the owner, you the steward, I the master, you the manager, I the source of all that flows through your surrendered life. Trust me with all, hold nothing back, and watch what wonders I will do.
The Creator's gift, divine power to create. My beloved child, come near and listen closely, for I would speak to you of creative power, not as the world understands creation, but as I, the Master Creator, have designed it. Have you not seen how I formed the heavens, how I spoke light into darkness, how I brought order from chaos? The same creative power I place within you. Do not say, I am barren of gifts, or my hands hold no power to create. For I have fashioned you in my image, and my creative nature flows through your being. Consider how I work. First I hover over the waters of chaos, my spirit moving upon the face of the deep, bringing forth beauty where none existed. So too must you learn to hover with me, to wait in sacred partnership, as I show you treasures in darkness and riches stored in secret places. From slavery I led my people, through wilderness paths to plenty, not to leave them in the desert of just enough, but to teach them trust for greater things. Learn well this pattern of my kingdom. First the season of being fruitful, then multiplication of that fruit, until you fill and subdue your appointed sphere. Many cry, Lord, grant me increase, while neglecting the small beginnings. But I say, be faithful in little things, and I will entrust you with much. Let not your heart grow weary in the slow seasons of growth, for even as the farmer must wait for precious fruit to ripen, so must you patiently cultivate the seeds of creativity I have planted. Remember, you do not create alone. I am your senior partner, your ever-present help, your source of wisdom and insight.
When chaos threatens to overwhelm, when resources seem scarce, when problems loom large, this is your moment to create with me. For I have not called you merely to survive, but to thrive and bring forth abundance, not through striving in your own strength, but through partnership with my spirit. Watch how I turn limitations into possibilities, how I make paths in the wilderness, how I bring streams in the desert. This same power I place in your hands. Your work becomes worship when done in union with me. Your business becomes ministry when surrendered to my purposes. Therefore, let not fear hold you back. Let not past failures define you. Let not smallness of vision constrain you. For I am ready to create through you. Rise up, my child, into this holy partnership. Take the gifts I have given, the wisdom I will speak, the opportunities I will show. For in this divine collaboration, this dance of heaven and earth, you shall see my creative power flow through yielded vessels. And remember always, the light within you was meant to shine. The gifts within you were meant to bless. The creativity within you was meant to flourish for my glory and others' good. Now go forth and create with me, not seeking wealth for wealth's sake, but seeking to add value to my world as we work together in holy partnership.
True riches, a divine invitation. My child, come sit with me a while, for I would speak to you of riches true, not as the world counts wealth, but as I, your father, measure abundance. Have you not seen how quickly earthly treasures fade, how rust corrupts and moths destroy? Yet my kingdom offers wealth eternal, riches that neither time nor chance can dim. Listen carefully, beloved. The world would tell you that contentment lies in gathering more, in endless acquisition, in pursuing what others possess. But I say to you, true contentment flows from knowing me as your provider, your ever-present source, your unfailing treasury. Consider how I care for my creation. The lilies neither toil nor spin, the birds neither sow nor reap, yet my hand supplies their every need. How much more shall I care for you, my precious child, created in my image? But take heed, dear one, for there lies a snare in earthly abundance, not in the possessions themselves, but in the heart that clings to them. When awareness of things grows greater than awareness of me, the soul begins to shrivel, though the storehouse may be full. Therefore I say to you, let your contentment rest not in what you own, but in who owns you. Let your satisfaction flow not from what you gather, but from what you give, for in giving you enter into my nature, and in serving you find true abundance. Remember, I do not begrudge you earthly comforts, for I am a good father who delights to give, but I would have you hold them lightly, ready to share, quick to distribute, finding your security not in temporal treasure, but in eternal riches. Learn this deeper way. When discontentment rises, turn your eyes from what you lack to what you have to give. When appetite for more consumes, look not to greater gathering, but to greater giving. For this is the secret of true wealth. It flows not from getting, but from giving, not from hoarding, but from sharing, not from abundance of possessions, but from abundance of love. Take hold, then, of life that is truly life. Be rich in good deeds, generous in giving, ready to share. For in this way you store up treasure that moth cannot destroy, that rust cannot corrupt, that time cannot diminish. And know this precious truth: your greatest wealth lies not in what you own, but in whose you are. Your richest moments come not in acquiring, but in sharing my love with others. This is the life that is truly life, the abundance that never fails. Rise up then, my beloved, into this higher way of living, where contentment flows from my presence, where abundance springs from giving, where true riches are measured, not by what fills your hands, but by what fills your heart. For in this divine economy, you become truly rich, only when you discover the joy of being poor in spirit, the wealth of having me as your portion, the abundance of living for others.
The Healer's Heart, a divine dialogue. My precious one, come near and listen, for I would speak to you of healing deep and true. Not as the world understands healing, but as I, your great high priest, have fashioned it. Have you not heard how I took upon myself all human frailty, all mortal pain? Not from afar did I observe your suffering, but entered fully into human anguish. Listen carefully, beloved. I did not merely touch your wounds from heaven's height, but descended into the depths of human experience, that I might know by heart what troubles yours. I know the sting of betrayal's kiss, the weight of grief's dark night, the loneliness of being misunderstood, the pain of rejection's bitter cup. Every human sorrow, every mortal pain, I have tasted fully, deeply, personally, not to merely sympathize from afar, but to transform your suffering into glory. Therefore come boldly to my throne of grace, not as to a distant, unfeeling God, but as to one who knows your every pain, your every tear, your every hidden wound. For this is my deepest desire, not merely to remove your pain, but to exchange it for my joy, not simply to heal your wounds, but to transform them into wells of living water. Remember, I give beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for heaviness. This is my way of healing. Bring me what weighs upon your heart, the childhood hurts still fresh with pain, the adult wounds still raw with grief, the burdens you were never meant to bear. For in my presence there is deep exchange, your sorrow for my joy, your weakness for my strength, your brokenness for my wholeness. I do not merely patch and mend, but make all things new. I do not simply dull the pain, but transform it into purpose. Let go, my child, let go of all that was never yours to carry, of all that weighs your spirit down, of all that keeps you bound to yesterday's pain. For I am making ready even now a new song in your heart, a new strength in your spirit, a new testimony of my healing grace. Rise up into this truth. You need not carry what I bore, need not hold what I have taken, need not fear what I have conquered. For I am both the wounded healer and the great physician, both the one who understands your pain and the one who transforms it into glory. Come now into this deeper healing, where pain becomes purpose, where wounds become wisdom, where scars become stars that light others' way. For this is my promise to you. Not one tear shall be wasted, not one sorrow left unredeemed, not one wound untouched by glory.
The love gift of grace. My child, come aside with me, and let us speak of giving. Too long has this holy practice been bound by law and obligation. But I would show you a more excellent way, the way of love. Consider the matter of the heart, for there lies the true measure of every gift. As a bridegroom delights in lavishing gifts upon his beloved, not from duty, but from the overflow of his heart, so I invite you into this dance of grace. Think not that I require your gifts to prove your love. Did I not first give my all for you? Every blessing of heaven is already yours in Christ. Your giving flows not from fear of punishment, nor hope of reward, but as a grateful response to my endless mercies. Let us move beyond the question, how much must I give, to how much may I give? For love knows no limits, sets no boundaries. As you grow in grace, you will find your heart expanding, yearning to give more, not less. Remember the humble widow who gave her mite. She gave not from her abundance, but from her poverty, yet her gift was precious in my sight. For I look not at the amount, but at the love that prompts the giving. Dear one, I invite you to a new way of giving, not by compulsion or external rules, but by the gentle promptings of my spirit. Let your giving be marked by joy, faith, and holy abandon. For in such giving, you most reflect my heart, who gave my very best, my Son, for love of you. Meditate on these things, and let me transform your understanding of giving from duty to delight, from law to love, from obligation to opportunity. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
From orphan to beloved. My precious child, come and let me speak tenderly to your heart about the deepest yearning I have placed within you, the longing to know me as Father. Too long have you wandered as an orphan in a foreign land, when I have prepared for you a place at my table. Consider how my Son lived in perfect union with me, doing only what he saw me doing, speaking only what he heard me speaking. This is the intimacy I desire with you, not a relationship of fearful duty, but one of delighted trust. Many of my children still live as orphans, though they are sons. They strive and strain to earn what I have freely given. They perform to gain approval when I have already declared them beloved. They grasp for security when I have opened wide my storehouse of provision. Hear my heart, dear one. I do not leave you as an orphan, I come to you. When you feel distant, it is not I who have turned away. When you stumble, I do not withdraw my love. When you feel uncertain, my presence remains your true home. Let me heal those places where earthly fathers may have wounded you. Let me replace every harsh word with my tender affirmation. Let me show you who you truly are, not a servant striving to earn love, but a cherished child, secure in my delight. For too long you have lived by the orphan's creed. I must do to become. But I invite you into the way of sonship. Because you are, you can rest in my love. Your identity flows from my heart, not from your performance. Come home, beloved. Let me be Papa to you. Let me restore what the locusts have eaten. Let me replace your striving with my peace, your fear with my perfect love. For this is who you truly are, my treasured child, in whom I am well pleased.
My child, come aside with me, and let us speak of a precious truth, one that brings freedom from anxiety and rest for your weary soul. For I see how you strive, how you wrestle with circumstances beyond your control. But I would teach you a deeper way. Consider Paul, my servant, who learned this blessed secret while chained in a Roman prison. Even there, surrounded by darkness and uncertainty, he discovered the pearl of great price, that my grace is sufficient, that my strength is made perfect in weakness. The world seeks peace through abundance, through control, through the elimination of trial. But I offer you something far greater, my very presence infused into your weakness, my strength flowing through your inability. For when you are weak, then you are strong. Too long have my children lived as orphans, striving in their own might to produce what only I can give. They say, "Lord, help me," when I whisper, "Child, let me live through you." They seek to generate light when I long to be their light. Remember the teacup that can only be filled when it is empty. So too must you come to that blessed place of helpless dependence, where your weakness becomes the very vessel for my strength. This is not defeat, it is the doorway to victory. Look not at the storm, beloved, but at me. When trials come knocking, look over their shoulder to see my face. For I am not merely with you in the furnace, I am your very life within it. Your protection is not the absence of fire, but my presence in its midst. Let this truth sink deep. You cannot live the Christian life, but I can live it through you. Every attempt to do so in your own strength only leads back to striving. But when you surrender to my life within, rivers of living water flow effortlessly. Come learn this sacred secret, that in any circumstance, my grace is sufficient, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit. Let weakness become your friend, for it is the very place where my strength is made perfect. The divine pattern of growth. My child, come walk with me in the garden of spiritual understanding, where I would teach you the ancient rhythms of my kingdom, for as surely as I have ordained the seasons, first the seed, then the blade, then the full corn, so have I established patterns for the growth of all things. Consider how I spoke in the beginning, be fruitful and then multiply. This was not merely a command, but a revelation of my divine order. For in my wisdom, I have decreed that all lasting fruit must first be proven in smallness before it can be trusted in abundance. Too many of my children rush to multiply before they have learned to be fruitful. They seek the harvest before the seed has proven its worth. But this is not my way. Did I not rejoice when Zachariah saw the small beginnings? For I know that what is tested and found true in littleness can be trusted with greatness. Remember the mustard seed, dear one. Its strength lies not in its size, but in its proven life. So too must your endeavors begin, not with grandiose plans or borrowed might, but with small steps of faithful stewardship that prove the seed is true. Let me teach you this precious truth. The path to abundance flows not through human striving or worldly leverage, but through patient proving of what I have placed within your hands. Start small, test what works, learn from what fails, for I delight to see wisdom paired with faith. Do not despise these humble beginnings, for just as a child must crawl before walking, so must every lasting work be built precept upon precept, line upon line. It is better to grow slowly in wisdom than to expand quickly in folly. In all your undertakings, remember this pattern. First be fruitful, prove the way is true, then multiply what has been tested and found good. For this is my way, and in it you will find both safety and success.
Divine principles of provision. My child, come sit with me and learn of my ways in the realm of provision and increase. For just as I have established patterns in nature, the seed time and harvest, the flowing of rivers to the sea, so have I ordained principles for the multiplication of resources in my kingdom. Consider how I taught through my servant Solomon, whom I blessed with both wisdom and wealth. Did he not understand both the cedars of Lebanon and the hyssop that grows in the wall? For true prosperity flows not from mere accumulation, but from the deep well of wisdom that knows how to steward what I entrust. Too many of my children seek abundance without first seeking understanding. They desire the fruit without cultivating the root. But hear my heart in this matter. I desire to give you both seed for sowing and bread, for eating some seed is to be cast heavenward in faith, while other seed is to be planted wisely in the soil of earthly stewardship. Remember the parable of the talents, for in it lies a profound truth. The master gave to each according to his ability. This is my way still. I do not measure my trust by your background or circumstances, but by your faithfulness to learn and grow in wisdom. Even small beginnings, when stewarded with understanding, can grow into mighty provision. Let not your heart be troubled by comparing yourself with others. Rather, focus on growing in both knowledge and wisdom in the areas where I call you to invest. For just as a tree must first send its roots deep before stretching its branches high, so must you lay foundations of understanding before expecting great increase. The world chases wealth, but my kingdom attracts it through wisdom. Start where you are, with what you have, but never cease growing in understanding. For I delight to entrust more to those who prove faithful with little.
The sacred partnership. My child, come sit with me and learn a deeper truth about prosperity in my kingdom. For many seek methods and formulas, but I seek relationship and transformation of the heart. How often my people chase after techniques and strategies, thinking these alone will bring abundance. But hear my gentle whisper. I did not promise to simply give you wealth. I promised to give you the power to create it. This is a journey of intimacy, not mere instruction. Consider how I work in my kingdom, not through mechanical formulas, but through relationship and heart transformation. Just as a tree must grow from within before bearing fruit, so must you be transformed from within before carrying the weight of prosperity. The depth of your roots in me will determine the height of your branches. Too many of my children seek principles without the prince, formulas without fellowship. But this is not my way. Whether you have little or much, draw near to me. Let every financial decision become an opportunity for intimacy with your Lord, for I desire not merely to prosper you, but to partner with you. The foundation must be laid deep, not in methods or mechanics, but in relationship with me. For when your heart is anchored in the invisible realm of my presence, then and only then can you bring true transformation to the visible realm of resources. Remember, beloved, the goal is not merely accumulation, but transformation. Not just prosperity, but partnership. Not simply wealth, but wisdom to steward it for my kingdom. For in this sacred partnership, you will find not just provision, but the very purpose for which I created you.
Faithful Father, beloved child, hear this sacred truth that burns within my heart. No earthly hand can care for you as tenderly as your heavenly Father's for too long. Have his precious ones bowed beneath the weight of Mammon's chains, seeking security in silver and gold rather than in his abundant grace. Oh, how the Father yearns to free you from this bondage. See how he clothes the little sparrow who neither sows nor reaps, yet dwells secure in the knowledge of the Father's care. Shall he not much more provide for you, his cherished child? The spirit of Mammon whispers lies of scarcity. Not enough, never enough. But hear instead the Father's song over you. I will never, no never forsake you. 3 times he speaks it, that you might know the immovable certainty of his promise. Like the widow of Zarephath, you stand perhaps with your last measure of meal, wondering if you dare release it into his hands. But beloved, it is not about the flour and oil. It is about seeing him as your source, not your resources. For when you fix your gaze upon his face rather than your finances, his supernatural provision begins to flow. What joy awaits those who will cast their anxious thoughts upon him? For worry is but worship offered to a false god, while trust is the sweet incense that rises before his throne. Your Father does not require your striving, only your surrendering. Remember this eternal truth. When you give control of your finances to God, he assumes responsibility for all your debts. When you hold tight to control, you bear that burden alone. Come then, as a little child, and rest in your Father's lap. For in his economy, provision flows not from your performance, but from his pleasure in caring for his own. Let your heart be lifted today in this glorious revelation. Nobody, no power in heaven or earth can take better care of you than Dad. In this truth lies your freedom, your peace, and the pathway to his abundant provision.
Repent of greed. good seed. Beloved, hear this word about the subtle weed that would choke the garden of your heart. That ancient snare called greed, like a thief in the night, it comes not announcing its presence, but silently wrapping its tendrils around your soul, whispering, more, more, more. Oh, how the Father yearns to free you from this bondage, for greed is not merely about money, it is idolatry of the heart, a bowing down to mammon rather than to the living God. How many of my children have I seen trapped in its twin snares, the consuming that can never satisfy and the hoarding that can never secure? But hearken unto me, precious one. I am neither a harsh taskmaster nor a distant deity. I am your Father who delights to give good gifts. As I care for the little sparrow who neither sows nor reaps, shall I not much more care for you, my cherished child? Your security lies not in barns filled with plenty, but in knowing me as your source. Consider the rich fool who built his barns ever larger, saying to his soul, eat, drink, and be merry. How his words echo still today in hearts that would trust in uncertain riches rather than the living God. But I tell you truly, life consists not in the abundance of things possessed, but in being rich toward God. Therefore I call you to a deeper freedom, the freedom of holy detachment, where neither consuming nor hoarding hold sway. Let your heart be enlarged through generosity, for in giving we most reflect our Father's heart. As you lose your grip on earthly treasure, you shall find your grasp tightening on eternal riches. Remember this eternal truth: I am your exceeding great reward. When you have me, you have everything. Whether you possess much or little in this world's goods matters not, for your life flows from an eternal spring that never runs dry. Come then, beloved, and let us pull this weed together, making room for the good seed of kingdom generosity to flourish. For I would have you know the joy of being a channel of blessing, taking away the world's breath through radical love and giving. This is the path to true prosperity, not in gathering more, but in freely giving as you have freely received.
Hearken, beloved. Hearken, beloved, to this sacred truth about the bondage of debt that would entangle the souls of my children. For just as the enemy sought to enslave nations through the spirit of mammon, so too does he seek to bind individual hearts through the chains of financial bondage. Oh, how my heart grieves when I see my precious ones accepting debt as normal, when it is foreign to my kingdom. For in my courts above there are no mortgages on heavenly mansions, no payments due on streets of gold, yet my children have embraced the world's way of thinking, making peace with that which should disturb their spirits. But hear this word of hope, dear one. I am your Redeemer. Even as I lifted Joseph from the prison pit to the palace, so I desire to lift you from the pit of financial bondage, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit will this deliverance come. For where my Spirit is, Lord, there is freedom, freedom from the tyranny of mammon, freedom from the deception that says, debt is normal. Consider the mighty men of David, how they came to him in distress, in debt, and discontented. Yet in the atmosphere of my presence, they were transformed into warriors of valor. So too do I desire to transform you, to take you from debtor to steward, from bondage to blessing. Let not your heart lean upon the arm of flesh through credit cards and loans, for these are but modern cisterns that can hold no water. Instead, lean upon me as your source, your provider, your exceeding great reward. For I am not a backup plan when your resources fail. I am the owner of all, and you are my trusted manager. Remember this eternal truth. Financial freedom begins not with practical steps, though these have their place, but with the revelation that I am Lord over all as you yield your finances to my lordship. Watch how I begin to break every chain, to open doors no man can shut, to make a way where there seems no way. Rise up then, beloved. Cast off hopelessness like an old garment. For this is not your portion. I am doing a new thing, teaching you to prosper even in the midst of your coming out, even as I prospered Joseph in his prison. For my desire is not merely to free you from debt, but to establish you as a channel of blessing to many.
Seek vision, not provision. Beloved, hear this sacred truth about vision and provision in the kingdom of our Lord. For many of my children ask, is it right to desire more? But hearken unto me. The question is not of the desiring, but of the heart's true purpose. Oh, how many seek provision before vision, reaching for earthly treasure while missing heaven's greater riches. For did not my son teach that faithfulness in little things, yes, even in money, is the proving ground for weightier matters of the kingdom? Like a ladder reaching toward heaven's purposes, financial stewardship forms but the lowest rung, yet one that cannot be skipped in your ascent to greater glory. Consider, precious one, that my kingdom comes not as lightning across the sky, but as living working through the whole loaf. I seek those who will steward small things faithfully, that I might entrust them with cities and nations. For how can one govern kingdoms who has not learned to govern coins? Remember the nobleman's parable, how those who multiplied their minas were given authority over cities. This is my way. Faithful stewardship in the natural realm opens doors to supernatural influence. Yet many of my children cry, Lord, let me change cities, while they have not yet learned to be faithful with a few dollars in their hands. But hear this deeper truth. I seek not merely managers of money, but those whose hearts beat with kingdom purpose. For when vision fills your spirit, vision of lives changed, cities transformed, my kingdom advanced, then provision follows as naturally as streams flow from mountain heights. Let your why be greater than earthly comfort or retirement ease. These are not my ways. Rather, let your heart be enlarged with eternal purpose, seeing money not as treasure to be hoarded, but as seed to be sown for kingdom harvest. For this is my desire, not that you would merely accumulate wealth, but that you would become wealthy in spirit, versatile to carry the weight of provision, because you carry the weight of vision. Then shall provision flow as naturally as rivers to the sea, not for your glory, but for the advancement of my kingdom and the blessing of many.
Beloved child of God, hear the divine call to excellence that resides within your very soul. Your journey is not about mere survival, but about becoming so profoundly valuable that the world cannot help but take notice. The Lord has placed within you a supernatural potential to rise above the ordinary, to become preeminent in your sphere of influence. Consider the path of Daniel, who did not merely rely on anointing, but coupled divine grace with diligent skill building. Your calling is not to mediocrity, but to mastery. God is seeking to partner with you in your professional journey, transforming your natural talents through supernatural empowerment. 3 divine principles will guide your ascent. First, embrace deliberate practice. Seek mentors who can refine your skills, who can see what you cannot see about yourself. Receive correction as a precious gift, for it is the pathway to growth and wisdom. Second, cultivate profound focus. In a world of constant distraction, create sacred spaces of undisturbed concentration. Your ability to focus is the crucible where potential is transformed into excellence. Third, commit to lifelong learning. Approach knowledge not as a mere academic exercise, but as a spiritual discipline. Read with God, process with the Holy Spirit, and allow divine insight to illuminate every page of understanding. Remember, true wealth is not just about financial increase, but about becoming the person who can steward greater influence. Your income will always be a reflection of the value you bring to the marketplace. As you invest in yourself, body, mind, and spirit, you position yourself to become so good they cannot ignore you. The Lord's desire is not for you to be average, but to be the head and not the tail. He wants you to be a city set on a hill, bringing light and transformation to your entire sphere of influence. Your excellence is not just a personal achievement, but a divine mandate to shape culture and manifest kingdom principles in your work. Be diligent, be focused, be a lifelong learner, and above all, partner with God in your journey of becoming truly exceptional.
Speaking in tongues and revelation knowledge. Beloved child of God, listen closely to the divine mystery of communion with the Holy Spirit. There is a language of intimacy that transcends human understanding. A spiritual tongue that connects your deepest self with the heart of God. Hear the whisper of grace. You are not limited by the constraints of natural reasoning. The Holy Spirit has given you a supernatural gift, a direct line of communication that bypasses the limitations of your mind and touches the very depths of divine revelation. When you speak in tongues, you are not merely uttering sounds, but releasing a spiritual frequency that opens heavenly downloads directly into your spirit. Imagine yourself as a vessel, a sacred container prepared to receive divine mysteries. As you yield yourself in faith, speaking words you do not understand, you are creating a holy space, an edifice of spiritual receptivity. The Father longs to communicate with you beyond the boundaries of human language, to impart wisdom that cannot be grasped through intellectual striving. This is not about performance or show, but about intimacy. It is a lover's language, a secret dialogue between your spirit and the heart of God. Each utterance is a step deeper into divine communion, a way of building yourself up in the most holy faith. You are tapping into a realm where healing flows, where spiritual warfare is waged, where revelation is birthed. Do not be afraid of the unknown. Trust that the same Spirit who raised Christ from the dead dwells within you, ready to release His power through your willing heart. You are not pursuing a strange experience, but seeking the very breath of God, a divine interruption that transforms weakness into strength, confusion into clarity. Open your heart, lift your voice, let the Holy Spirit fill your mouth with words from another realm. For in this place of surrender, you will find not just words, but life, abundant, transformative, supernatural life. The invitation stands. Come, drink from the well of mysteries. Let your spirit soar beyond the limitations of human understanding into the vast, limitless love of your Heavenly Father.
The goodness of God. Beloved child of the Most High, lean close and hear the tender whispers of divine love. There is a profound truth that must penetrate the deepest chambers of your heart. God is infinitely, immeasurably good. The cross of Christ has forever transformed the landscape of divine relationship. No longer does judgment reign, but mercy triumphs. The Father's heart is not a stern, calculating arbiter of punishment, but a compassionate embrace of redemption. Every circumstance, every challenge must be viewed through the lens of His unfailing goodness. Understand, dear one, that not every storm is a divine punishment. Not every tragedy is a manifestation of God's wrath. The old covenant of judgment has been replaced by a new covenant of grace. Jesus bore the full weight of divine justice, satisfying every requirement so that mercy could flow freely when calamity strikes. Do not rush to declare it God's judgment. Instead, see it as an opportunity for divine intervention. God is not controlling every moment, but He is present in every moment, ready to transform pain into purpose. He is the great Redeemer, the master of turning broken things into beautiful testimonies. Your spiritual journey is not about avoiding punishment, but about partnering with divine love. You are not a helpless victim, but a co-laborer with Christ. The same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead dwells within you, empowering you to release kingdom power in the midst of earthly challenges. Cultivate a heart that sees beyond the natural realm. Develop spiritual eyes that perceive God's goodness, even when circumstances seem dark. Your faith is not measured by how much you can endure, but by how deeply you trust in His unending love. Remember, beloved, you are not defined by your struggles, but by the finished work of Christ. His grace is sufficient. His love is perfect. His goodness is your inheritance. Open your heart, receive His love. Trust in His goodness, for truly, He is better than you could ever imagine.
Beloved child of the Most High, listen closely to the divine blueprint of kingdom wealth, a sacred journey of transformation that transcends mere financial accumulation. Your wealth is not about hoarding, but about becoming a conduit of heavenly provision. Hear the Father's heart. He desires to release supernatural increase through you, not as an end in itself, but as a power instrument of kingdom advancement. Understand that your financial journey is a spiritual pilgrimage with 4 profound stages. You begin in struggle, where resources feel scarce and hope seems distant. But do not despair. This is merely the starting point of your divine assignment. As you yield to God's principles, you will transition from surviving to thriving. The key is not merely working harder, but becoming more valuable. Allow the Holy Spirit to refine your skills, to increase your capacity, to make you an instrument of extraordinary worth in the marketplace. Learn to see money not as a master to be feared, but as a servant to be strategically deployed. Your wealth is not about personal comfort, but about creating ecosystems of kingdom impact. Each investment, each asset is a seed of potential transformation.
the ultimate destination is not financial independence, but financial abundance, where your resources flow so generously that you can literally reshape cultures and nations. Imagine reaching a place where your income is so expansive that you can freely give, invest, and multiply God's purposes in the earth. This is not about prosperity for prosperity's sake. This is about becoming so spiritually and financially empowered that you can respond to every divine opportunity without hesitation. When needs arise, you will have streams of provision ready to be released. Your Father's heart is to make you a conduit of supernatural abundance. He wants to entrust you with resources that can heal, restore, and advance His kingdom. But this requires radical stewardship, profound generosity, and an unwavering commitment to see His purposes fulfilled. Trust the journey, embrace each stage of growth. Allow God to transform not just your finances, but your very understanding of provision and purpose. You are called to be more than a recipient of blessing. You are called to be a distributor of heaven's resources.
The lens of goodness. Beloved child of the Most High, lean in and hear the tender whispers of divine love. A love so profound it will transform every perception you hold about God. Your Father is not a distant, harsh judge waiting to condemn, but a compassionate heart longing to reveal His true nature. Jesus came to be the perfect lens through which you can see the Father's heart. A heart overflowing with goodness, mercy, and unconditional love. Listen closely. Every interaction Jesus had was a divine revelation of the Father's character. When He encountered the woman caught in adultery, when He touched the untouchable, when He restored the broken, He was showing you the Father's true essence. His love does not ignore sin, but it transforms lives with such tender grace that condemnation becomes impossible. Understand this profound truth. The Father's goodness is not dependent on your performance. He is not waiting to punish you, but eagerly anticipating opportunities to demonstrate His love. His very nature is to give good gifts, to restore, to heal, to provide. Your journey is not about avoiding punishment, but about discovering a relationship so intimate that trust becomes as natural as breathing. Every challenge is an invitation to see His goodness more clearly. Delayed answers are not punishments, but opportunities for deeper transformation. Imagine a love so vast that the entire cosmos cannot contain it. A love that sent His own Son to restore what was broken. A love that pursues you relentlessly, not with judgment, but with an overwhelmed desire for relationship. Your faith will expand only as you comprehend His goodness. Every area where you struggle to trust Him is an area where you have not yet fully experienced. His love, He is better than you can imagine, infinitely, immeasurably, overwhelmingly good. Let this truth penetrate your heart. You are not an orphan, but a beloved child of a Father who delights in you. His goodness is not a theological concept, but a living, breathing reality that transforms everything it touches. Abandon yourself to His love.
Trust his heart, he is good. Always. Completely. Perfectly good.
The revolution of giving under grace. Beloved child of the Most High, hear the profound revelation of divine love that transcends mere financial transaction and touches the very heart of generosity. The law was never about rules, but about revealing the nature of love himself. Every commandment, every instruction was a tender invitation to understand the heart of God, a heart that gives without measure, that loves without condition. Grace is not a permission to do less, but an empowerment to become more. It is God's supernatural ability living within you, transforming your very nature from a self-centered being to a conduit of divine love. When you truly encounter His love, generosity becomes not an obligation, but a natural expression of your transformed heart. Understand this sacred mystery. You are not called to give out of dutiful compliance, but out of an overflowing revelation of how deeply you are loved. As you behold the Lamb who gave himself completely, something miraculous happens. His nature begins to write itself upon your heart. Your giving is not measured by percentage, but by passion. It is not calculated by mathematical precision, but by the spontaneous overflow of a heart that has been ravished by divine love. You move from asking, "How little can I give?" to declaring, "How much can I release?" The kingdom operates on a rattle principle. The more you receive, the more you become a giver. As you allow the love of Christ to consume you, you will find yourself becoming a river of provision, not just with money, but with your very life. Do not strive to be generous, simply abide in His love, and generosity will flow from you as naturally as breath flows from lungs. You are being transformed from a consumer to a conduit, from a receiver to a releaser. This is the true revolution of grace, where giving becomes your highest worship, and love becomes your most powerful currency.
The real power of money. Beloved child of the Most High, lean in and hear the profound whispers of divine wisdom about the true nature of wealth. Money is not merely a resource to be accumulated, but a sacred tool to be deployed in the grand mission of eternal purposes. Your resources are not your own, but a trust placed in your hands by the Father, awaiting transformation into heavenly currency. Understand this profound mystery. Every dollar you possess is a seed of potential kingdom impact. The world sees money as a means of personal comfort, but heaven sees it as a conduit of supernatural influence. Your wealth is not measured by what you keep, but by what you release. Hear the tender invitation of the Father. You are not called to be a consumer, but a steward. Your financial journey is not about building personal kingdoms, but about expanding God's eternal kingdom. Each transaction can be an act of worship, each investment a prophetic declaration of heaven's values. Imagine standing before the throne of grace where the true ledger of your life is revealed. Not the temporary acquisitions that rust and fade, but the eternal investments that have touched and transformed lives. Your wealth is not about how much you can amass, but how much you can channel into eternal purposes. The Lord is inviting you to a radical perspective shift. Money is a temporary tool for eternal objectives. Every resource you have is an opportunity to touch a life, to advance a mission, to demonstrate divine love. You cannot take material wealth with you, but you can send it ahead, transforming earthly currency into heavenly treasure. Let your heart be captured by a larger vision. Live not for the momentary dot of your earthly existence, but for the expansive line of eternity. Your generosity is a prophetic act that echoes through the corridors of heaven. The real power of money is not in its accumulation, but in its liberation, liberating others, liberating dreams, liberating destinies. Choose today to be a conduit, not a container. Let your resources flow with the same extravagance with which God's love flows toward you.
Truth about sowing and reaping. Beloved child of the Most High, hear the profound mystery of divine exchange, where your earthly resources become seeds of eternal transformation. Understand that giving is not a transaction, but a sacred partnership with heaven. Your resources are not merely currency, but prophetic instruments of kingdom advancement. Every dollar you release is a seed pregnant with potential, carrying within it the DNA of supernatural multiplication. The Father's heart is not focused on your acquisition, but on your transformation. Giving is not about extracting blessing, but about becoming a conduit of divine love. When you give, you are not diminishing yourself, but positioning yourself in the river of God's abundant provision. Hear this tender invitation. Your generosity is a doorway through which heaven invades earth. Each act of giving is an opportunity to awaken the conscience of those around you, to demonstrate the extravagant love of a Father who gives without measure. The kingdom operates on a radically different economic principle. You do not give to get, but you give to become. Every seed planted carries within it the potential to not only meet your needs, but to create breakthrough for others. Your giving is a prophetic declaration that transcends mere financial exchange. Imagine standing before the Father, watching how each seed you've sown has multiplied, not just in financial terms, but in transformed lives, in restored destinies, in kingdom advancement. Your generosity becomes a legacy that echoes through eternity. Do not approach giving with a calculator, but with a heart of worship. Let your giving be an expression of trust, wrapped in expectation, birthed in joy, and saturated with intercession. You are not just releasing money, but partnering with God to release His purposes in the earth. The real wealth is not what you keep, but what you liberate. Your seed carries within it the very DNA of God's transformative love. Give, and watch heaven respond.
Truth about tithing. Beloved child of the Most High, hear the profound truth of divine generosity, a love that cannot be contained by law, but overflows through grace. The Father's heart is not a ledger of transactions, but a wellspring of extravagant love. The old covenant demanded compliance. The new covenant releases transformation. Your giving is not a duty to be fulfilled, but a divine invitation to partner with heaven's purposes. Understand this sacred mystery. Generosity is not about meeting a quota, but expressing the very nature of God. When you give, you are not performing a financial transaction, but releasing a prophetic declaration of trust. Your motivation matters infinitely more than your mathematics. The spirit of giving under grace is radically different from giving under law. It is not about fear of punishment, but about freedom of love. You are not giving to appease an angry God, but responding to a Father who has already provided everything. Listen closely. You cannot manipulate God's blessing through mechanical giving. True prosperity flows from a heart aligned with divine love. Your wealth is not measured by what you accumulate, but by what you liberate. Every seed you plant carries within it the potential for supernatural multiplication. But this multiplication is not just financial. It is a transformation of culture, of destinies, of entire communities. Do not approach giving as a transaction, but as an act of worship. Let your giving be an expression of trust, birthed from an understanding that you are a beloved child of a generous God. Your resources are not your own, but a sacred trust to be deployed in advancing kingdom purposes. The Father is not tracking your percentage, but watching your heart. He is not waiting to curse, but eager to bless. Your giving becomes a prophetic act that releases heaven's resources into the earth. Give freely, give joyfully, give expectantly, for in giving, you become a conduit of divine love.
Kingdom entrepreneurship. Beloved child of the Most High, hear the divine wisdom of kingdom entrepreneurship, a journey not of mere business building, but of transformative purpose and supernatural multiplication. Your enterprise is not just a commercial venture, but a sacred instrument through which heaven's purposes can be released. Every business is a prophetic opportunity to demonstrate God's creative power and redemptive love. Understand this profound mystery. True wealth is not about accumulating resources, but about creating systems that multiply beyond your personal limitations. Just as a farmer does not merely carry water in buckets, but builds pipelines that continuously flow, you are called to construct spiritual and economic ecosystems that transcend your individual effort. Listen closely. Passion is not a mystical lightning bolt, but a flame that grows through persistent cultivation. Your calling emerges not in perfect clarity, but through curious exploration, faithful investigation, and committed persistence. God rarely reveals the entire blueprint at once, but invites you to walk in partnership, discovering His purposes step by step. The kingdom operates on principles of strategic stewardship. Your business is not an end, but a means, a vehicle to bring heaven's influence into earthly domains. The goal is not massive scale, but meaningful impact. You are not building an empire, but creating a platform from which divine love can be demonstrated. Hear the Father's heart. Multiplication happens through systematic development. Create processes, empower people, establish procedures. Your ultimate freedom comes not from working harder, but from designing systems that can operate in your absence. The true measure of entrepreneurial success is not personal productivity, but the ability to create sustainable, self-generating mechanisms of blessing. Imagine building an enterprise so aligned with heaven's purposes that it becomes a continuous source of provision, not just for you, but for generations. Your business can be a conduit of generational transformation, releasing resources that extend far beyond your immediate vision. Do not be seduced by the myth of immediate success. True breakthrough requires grit, a combination of passion and curiosity and persistent commitment. Your willingness to embrace the boring work of systematic improvement becomes the very pathway to supernatural multiplication. Your enterprise is a kingdom tool. Every system you create, every team member you empower, every process you refine becomes a prophetic declaration of God's creative power. Build not just a business, but a legacy of kingdom influence.
Wealth is attracted, not pursued. Beloved child of the Most High, lean in and hear the profound revelation of kingdom wealth, a supernatural flow that is not earned, but attracted through divine partnership. Your prosperity is not a result of your striving, but a manifestation of God's extravagant love. Just as Abraham discovered, wealth is not about your brilliance or performance, but about positioning yourself to receive the Father's blessing. The source of your increase is not your skill, but His presence. Understand this sacred mystery.
Wealth in the kingdom is a magnetic force, not a pursuit. When you turn your heart towards the throne, resources begin to flow towards you effortlessly. Like a magnet pointed outward, your life becomes a conduit of supernatural provision. Listen closely. Do not chase money, pursue wisdom as you seek first His kingdom. Abundance becomes a natural overflow. Your part is trust, His part is transformation. You plant the seed, but He causes the increase. The pressure is not on your performance, but on His faithfulness. The Father is not a distant accountant, but a generous dad who delights in releasing resources through His children. Your wealth is not measured by your bank account, but by your alignment with His heart. When you position yourself in His presence, prosperity becomes a natural byproduct. Imagine standing in a river of divine abundance, facing the throne. Good things are not something you chase, but something that flows towards you. Every need is met, every opportunity is revealed, every limitation is dissolved in the atmosphere of His goodness. Your faith is the key that unlocks supernatural supply. Not a passive faith that sits and waits, but an active trust that partners with God's creative power. You are not a victim of circumstances, but a co-creator of kingdom economics. Do not pursue wealth, pursue His presence. Let your heart be captured by His love, and watch as resources are attracted to your life, like metal to a magnet. Wealth is not something you achieve. It is something you attract by becoming a vessel of divine love.
Seek His face. My beloved child, hear the whispers of the kingdom. Wealth is not a pursuit, but an attraction. Your primary calling is not to chase after material abundance, but to seek my face with unbridled passion and unwavering expectation. In the sacred dance of intimacy, you are invited to turn your heart completely toward me. As you become preoccupied with my presence, prosperity will flow naturally, not as your goal, but as a beautiful byproduct of your surrender. Your job is not to manipulate or strategize, but to position yourself in expectant worship. Understand that prosperity is first an internal reality, a condition of your soul. When your inner landscape is transformed, filled with hope and vision, the external realm will inevitably reflect that inner abundance. Poverty is a lens of scarcity, but a prosperous soul sees nothing but increase, even in moments that appear barren. Do not seek wealth. Seek me. Do not treat me as a cosmic vending machine, but as a loving Father who delights in your company. Your seeking is not a transaction, but a tender relationship. It is about falling so deeply in love with me that you become more concerned with my heart than with your needs. Your part is simple yet profound. Stay facing the throne. Be like a child who risks everything to be in the room where the celebration happens. Press in, contend, and allow the very process of seeking to transform you. Some promises are so magnificent that they require character to carry them. Remember, beloved, prosperity is never the goal. Intimacy is seek a rich life with me, and watch as all other dimensions of richness flow from that sacred connection.
What must I do to be blessed? My beloved child, hear the heart of your Father. Grace is not a transaction, but a love story. I have already provided everything you could ever need before you even drew your first breath. My provision is not dependent on your performance, but on my infinite goodness and the finished work of my Son. Listen carefully. Prosperity is not about accumulating wealth, but about experiencing the abundant life I designed for you. It is a relationship, not a formula. When you truly see me as your source, your heart will respond.
not out of manipulation, but out of trust and wonder. Faith is not a magical incantation to make me move. Faith is simply opening your heart to receive what I have already prepared. It is like an eyeball, always looking outward, not inward at your own worthiness, but fixed upon Jesus, the author and perfecter of your journey. Your part is simple. Trust, respond, give not to receive, but because you believe in my nature. When you give, you are not trying to twist my arm, but declaring your confidence in my promises. You are stepping into the river of my provision, acknowledging that I am El Shaddai, the God of more than enough. Remember, dear one, I am not a distant accountant tallying your spiritual credits, but a loving Father eager to lavish my goodness upon you. My desire is not to extract from you, but to fill you to overflowing so that you might become a conduit of blessing to others. Seek first my kingdom, and watch as everything else aligns in miraculous, unexpected ways.
Where and why to give? My beloved child, listen closely to the heart of giving. Giving is not a transaction, but a sacred expression of love, a divine dance between your heart and mine. Many approach giving with calculation, seeking to manipulate or extract blessing. But true giving flows from a wellspring of love, just as my love for you knows no conditions or constraints. When you give, you are not performing a mechanical act, but declaring a profound spiritual truth. Everything you have is already mine, and you are simply a conduit of my divine abundance. Understand this mystery. Giving is not about the amount, but the heart behind it. I do not need your resources. I desire your heart. When you give from a place of pure love without compulsion or fear, you align yourself with the very rhythm of my kingdom. Your giving becomes a prophetic act, a declaration that I am your source, your provider, your everything. Do not give to receive, yet expect multiplication. Like a farmer who plants a seed not in desperation, but in confident hope, sow your resources with joy. I am the Lord of the harvest, and my nature is to multiply what is given in faith and love. Your giving is an investment in eternity, a partnership in my divine economy. Be careful of manipulation, of giving out of guilt or pressure. Those are the world's tactics, not mine. I invite you into a relationship of radical trust. When you give, let it be a love song, a spontaneous overflow of gratitude for my inexpressible gift of Jesus. Remember, prosperity is not your goal. Intimacy with me is seek first my kingdom, and watch as abundance flows through you. Not just to you. You are a channel, a vessel of my generosity, commissioned to bring heaven's resources to earth. Give with expectation, but not expectation of personal gain. Expect multiplication so that you might be even more generous. Let your giving be a violent act of faith, declaring that my grace has already provided everything you could ever need.
Your true identity. My beloved child, listen deeply to the whispers of your true identity. Prosperity is not a matter of dollars and cents, but of who resides within you. You are not defined by your circumstances, but by the divine life that flows through your very being. Just as a tree planted by living waters never lacks nourishment, you are rooted in an inexhaustible source of abundance. Your prosperity is not something you chase, but something you already possess. Hear me clearly. Wealth is not what you accumulate, but who you have embraced. I have placed within you a river of divine potential that can transform every aspect of your existence. Your soul's condition determines your external reality. When you tap into the living water of my presence, you will flourish in ways the world cannot comprehend. Those limiting beliefs that whisper of scarcity and lack are but illusions. They are carnival mirrors distorting the glorious truth of who you are. You are not a victim of circumstances, but a victor empowered by my spirit. Your identity is not shaped by what you see, but by what I have declared over you. Prosperity is multifaceted. It is peace that transcends understanding, success that defies natural limitations, and an ability to wade through life's challenging rivers and emerge victorious. It is not about having more, but about being more connected, more transformed, more alive in me. Stop striving to become something you already are. Just as an apple tree contains the essence of an apple from its very seed, you contain my divine nature from the moment of your spiritual birth. Your job is not to produce fruit through sheer effort, but to believe and receive the reality of who you are. When you look into the mirror of my word, you will see not what you feel, but what is true. You are prosperous because I live within you. You are victorious because my spirit empowers you. You are unlimited because I am unlimited. Prosperity is not a destination, but a journey of constant revelation. It is discovering that everything you could ever need is already resident within you. Your roots are deep, your potential is boundless, and my love is your constant source. Believe this, not with mere mental assent, but with a deep cellular knowing that transforms your entire being. You are prosperous, not because of what you have, but because of who.
Your calling in the marketplace. My beloved child, listen closely to the divine whispers about your calling in the marketplace. Your business is not merely a means of generating income, but a sacred ministry, a holy partnership with me. Understand this profound truth. Your enterprise is not your own, but belongs to the King. I am the owner, the CEO, the very breath of your endeavor. When you align your business with my heart, you become a conduit of transformation, not just a collector of profits. The marketplace is your mission field. Every transaction is an opportunity to demonstrate my love. Every problem you solve is a chance to reveal my kingdom. Your success is not measured by dollars accumulated, but by lives touched and value created. You are not chasing wealth, but attracting it by serving others with excellence and integrity. See your work through heavenly eyes. You are supernaturally endowed with the ability to create wealth, not for personal gain, but to establish my covenant on earth. Your gifts are not limited to what happens within church walls. The marketplace is your pulpit. Your customers are your congregation. Do not be trapped by entitlement or the belief that merely having a godly idea guarantees success. Kingdom business requires partnership, diligence, and a relentless commitment to solving people's problems. Your opportunity is directly connected to the challenges you can resolve. Grow in ability, not just spirituality. Learn the how-tos of your craft. As you increase in skill and understanding, supernatural favor will be drawn to you. Remember, I am not looking to drop prosperity into your lap.
but to empower you to create it through divine collaboration. Your identity is not defined by your current circumstances, but by who resides within you. When you truly understand that you carry my presence, you will approach business not as a transaction, but as a transformational encounter. Serve with such excellence that people cannot help but recognize the difference. Let your work be a living testimony, a demonstration that my kingdom operates differently. Success is not about what you gain, but about the value you contribute. Be a servant leader. The greatest among you will be the one who serves most effectively. Your business is your ministry. Your marketplace is your mission field. And every interaction is an opportunity to reveal my nature. Prosper, not for personal wealth, but to be a blessing. Let your enterprise be a river of generosity, flowing with purpose and divine intentionality.
Your plan. My beloved child, listen deeply to the sacred rhythm of kingdom prosperity. Prosperity is not a pursuit, but a divine dance of partnership with me. Understand this profound truth. Your finances are not merely about accumulation, but about alignment. When you seek my kingdom first, everything else falls into perfect order. I am not a distant accountant tracking your transactions, but a loving Father eager to pour out blessing beyond measure. Hear my heart. Prosperity begins internally, not externally. Your wealth is not determined by the balance of your bank account, but by the condition of your soul. Every dollar is either bread to consume or seed to plant, and wisdom comes from discerning which is which. I am not interested in your mathematical calculations, but in your heart's posture. When you give first, invest wisely, and live generously, you open heavenly windows of provision. Your giving is not a transaction, but a prophetic declaration of trust. Learn to see money as a tool, not a master. Be careful not to worship the provision instead of the provider. Your goal is not to accumulate wealth, but to be a conduit of blessing. As you honor me with your resources, I will multiply what you've been entrusted with. Cultivate a lifestyle of radical generosity. Give cheerfully, invest strategically, and enjoy the fruits of my provision without guilt. Remember, I delight in your enjoyment as much as I delight in your generosity. Your prosperity is a testimony of my goodness, not your performance. You are not called to be a miser, but a steward. Learn to live on less than you earn, so you can give more and invest wisely. Your financial journey is a spiritual adventure where each decision becomes an act of worship. Trust me with your finances. When you put my kingdom first, I will take care of your kingdom completely. Prosperity will be attracted to you, not because you chase it, but because you pursue me. Your identity is not defined by your income, but by your relationship with me. You are a child of the King, co-laboring in his divine economy. Embrace this truth and watch as I transform your perspective on wealth.
Find your assignment. Understanding one's life purpose and destiny is key. Success is not about money or fame, but about fulfilling my unique assignment. For your life, I predetermined your foundational characteristics. Before birth, which knew your family, nationality, gifts, and spiritual calling. Destiny is discovered, not manufactured. Your spiritual formation is important. Learn to serve others' visions, identify and refine your personal skills and strengths. You will mature in life with practicing to love through challenging relationships. Eventually, it's important to align your passion with your gifts and career, where what you love and what you're best at intersect in a paying role. Purpose gives meaning to struggles. Destiny is a journey, not a straight line. Personal transformation precedes career success. Serving others is crucial to discovering your path. Success is about faithfulness, not just financial achievement. Either you are doing the assignment you were created for, or you aren't. Seek me for your unique purpose, and recognize that true fulfillment comes from aligning with my plan, not from pursuing cash or career for your own sake.